do. Hello, Jim.
Hey, how's it going, Tim? Good to see you.
I'm great. Good to see you too. Good to see you all out there in the world, and whether it's in the forest or in the brick land or whatever land you live in. Um, so
Brickland.
how's it? That's your land, Jim. The brick land.
Yes.
Yes.
Fake bricks, though, just in case you're wondering at home.
Yes. So we're excited to have you all here today. And we have a little bit of a change of plans. We were hoping to have Kevin Colby here today to talk about video. And hello, Sherry Roberts. Excited you are here. But unfortunately, he couldn't join us today. So hopefully, we can reschedule him. So today, we're going to talk about virtual events, something that both myself and Jim have delved into over the last, I think it's almost a year, Jim.
It is. It is almost a year. I know it's funny. We talk about that sometimes, and I guess every once in a while, if you want to say, I have my little, if I call it grumpiness, but
Uh
you
oh.
know, I mean, when we talk about virtual events, it's not just virtual events, but even talking about remote virtual production. But even if you're on a
Yeah.
Zoom call, what
Mhm.
are you doing as an individual to up your virtual presence? It was interesting yesterday. I was on a live stream with Lem. He goes by Lem Drops and Chris Stone and Chris Giles, and we were talking about Amazon Live. But Lem brought up a very interesting point, and it's that basically what we're doing now on live video is becoming our virtual suit. And I was like,
Ooh.
"Oh, that's very fascinating," because, if you're not doing anything to improve your audio, improve your video, improve how
Yes.
you're able to screen share, the question becomes, what are you waiting for? Right? And I
Now
think
more than
that
ever.
yes. Yes. And so I think, Tim, right? You and I both talk about this a lot. It's like, what is holding you back? I mean, I don't think virtual events are gonna go away. I mean, what do
No.
you think? Are
No,
you
I don't think I think they'll for the foreseeable future, I think they're going to continue and events that do come back in person. Hey Andrew, Andrew's a future guest on the show. So thanks for
Yes.
being here, Andrew. I think some organizations will have hybrid events, so there'll be an online presence, but also in person. But I think at least through 2021, there'll be a strong presence of virtual events. But then I'm sure many organizations and businesses will continue. What do you think, Tim?
No, I would agree with you, Tim. I mean, recently I became a part of the StreamYard, producers beta program, and just did an event.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Last week with Biogen, right? Biogen is a huge pharmaceutical company, and they had a multi-day virtual event. Now, some of it
Oh,
was, as an example, it was division managers basically getting to share with their people some of their successes. Some of it was done through Zoom, some of it was done by StreamYard. But the
yes,
fact was, they don't have a way to get together in person. But
yes.
then you could also look at it from the perspective of, what are you doing to keep your people connected? And I think video is so much more powerful than just, say, doing audio, even though, right, I guess we got a few
Clubhouse.
minutes in, right? Things like Clubhouse or Twitter Spaces allow us to have the conversation without having to be camera ready, but there's still that
Right.
extra connection that you get when you're, live on video. Just like, I always enjoy, just you and I being here together on video, and just the friendship that we've been able to develop over time by being on video. And I mean, right, we took what, 6 plus months before we actually ever met in person.
Yes.
And so I think, video is, they're always saying, "Oh, this is a year of video, et cetera, et cetera." But the truth of the matter is, right, that video is here to stay. And so for
Boom.
those of you watching live
Yeah.
or recorded, what are you waiting for?
It's true. It's true. And that's a really good point, Jim. I think too, certain people, organizations, everybody's on a different journey in terms of where they are in terms of learning video and live streaming. And right, Jim, like I'm sure you did and I did. We all went through a journey of getting just past the fear of being on video, let alone live streaming, right?
Right, absolutely, and I'm glad to see, our friend Junaid. Junaid
Oh,
is,
hey,
like,
Junaid.
amazing with if you wanna learn how to level up your home studio, whether you're doing virtual events or just live streaming. I've started that process. You can't see it all, but Junaid, if it makes you happy, I now have a second monitor. I've joked I've got this is a different wall, but it's the same brick, different wall as I'm getting ready to have multiple camera angles because if I'm going to be a part of virtual events, I want to be able to do some things that are going to change up my scenery, just like Tim has his lovely scenery behind him,
Scenery.
but he can change it up, and I think that those
Yes.
are the things that they're not that hard to do if you're
Right.
willing to make the effort.
Yes, totally, totally. I was just working with a virtual event. Oh, Junaid's funny. He said, "Hi, the Tim and Jim show." Literally, this week we are the Tim and Jim show. You're funny, Junaid. Thanks for being here, Stefan. Stefan has an incredible show himself called the Spin It Social Hour. So, guys, check it out on his. He has a YouTube channel where you just search the Spin It Social Hour. Um, but yeah, I think just, taking like the first step is to get on video if you haven't already, right? And people could, they could practice on recorded video or they could go on Facebook. I know it's your favorite platform, Jim, and just set the privacy to just me or create a private Facebook group to practice in and things like that. Stefan says, if you are not in the live stream game, get in now and learn. If you are already in, up your game. Now
Right.
more than ever, Stefan.
And
Yes.
I think with virtual events, right,
Yes.
which is what we wanna talk about, is
Yes.
there's kinda like 2 I don't know if I'd call it 2 schools of thought, but you have the pre-recorded events where you pre-record your session and then it's
Yes.
shared to a platform. Say, for an example, Hey Summit's one that's pretty popular. As people watch that recorded video and you're able to interact a little bit, but and I really love, as an example, what, has happened with, if you wanna call it the merging, even though they're still separate, so all of you out there, don't freak out, that StreamYard has been bought by Hopin. But then Hopin
Yes.
allows you to use StreamYard as a live stage, and then you can have breakout sessions while the live stage is going on, and so you're getting that real-time interaction, and, Chris Stone and I recently did an event for, a local Toastmasters, club here, or I shouldn't say club, the actual district, where we had over 500 attendees with a live stage, with 7 concurrent breakout sessions
Oh
that
my
was
gosh.
live. And the feedback we got is like, this actually felt like an in-person event, right? We weren't just using Zoom, right? We were allowing
Right.
the speakers to be center stage and people could interact with them just like we're doing here today on StreamYard. But it was like it was different, right? It was refreshing. I mean, StreamYard, other tools like Ecamm, et cetera, allow you to do some things visually that really help your organization, your brand get across your message to your audience, but also allow your audience to interact. And Tim, you had a great uh, program. I guess what was this? That's last year, right? Where you helped the Milford, is that right? Book Festival.
Yeah, Milford Readers and Writers Festival.
Yeah, continue to move on despite what's going on. And I think they
Yes.
probably uh, were pleasantly surprised at how much interaction they got. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Jim, because they're actually going to be doing a second virtual event coming up soon. For that event, we'll be doing it on Zoom, so it will be a little bit different. But normally, the Milford Readers and Writers Festival is a festival here in Northeast Pennsylvania in the fall in September or October, and they have authors as well as their audience is really readers, it's an opportunity for readers and writers to come together and learn from each other, have conversations. They have free events throughout town, but they also have, a paid ticketed stage. Like a few years ago, they had Alan Alda, they had Judge, who's the judge on Fox News?
Napolitano?
Napolitano.
That was a guess.
Good. I hope that was him. Anyway, so traditionally, for the last 5 years, they ran this event in person in a theater a half an hour from here. And I was helping them with promoting the event and with actually live streaming it on location, some of the events, as well as taking photos and things like that. But then COVID hit and they reached out and they said, we want to make this virtual. So we used StreamYard. They held 4 different panels over 2 days with an author and someone who is interviewing them, right? And normally they have like 300 attendees in person, but we were able to reach 9,000 people from around the world. We had, I don't remember exactly the locations, but we had people saying, where they were from, right? Because during a virtual event or during a live stream, it's a good idea to put calls to action in the comments and in your banners. And so, we would say, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you tuning in from? So we get to see all the locations of people. And so they were thrilled with the results. Needless to say, any organization who hasn't done this before is leery at first because they're afraid the internet's going to break during the event, right? Which it could.
Good. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why it's always a good idea to have a backup producer for a virtual event.
Well, and I think you bring up a great point. I was talking earlier with my friends Chris Stone and Mark Deal about this. The one thing about virtual events that's occurring right now is that you can truly have a global event. And as
Literally.
much as it's hard to believe, Tim, it's almost been a year ago at the end of the month that we were in San Diego for Social Media Marketing World, right? One of the last big in-person events.
Yes.
But you also had people having to travel from all over, trains, planes, and automobiles and all that stuff and spending a lot of money. Well, now, we could have someone like Samantha Kelly or, Andrew and Pete join us from the comfort of their own home, no matter where we are, right? Or we could have people, from Asia. I mean, it's just, so I think there's a lot to be said for that because it allows these events to become much more inclusive by being virtual. Then, as much as I get it, we all like to be around, other people and that face to face. But I also think there's a lot to be said for having that virtual connection. And I think, virtual events are maybe the challenge is going to be, I think, with the hybrid stuff, like, because maybe people are like, you know what, I'd love to participate, but I really don't want to travel for hours and hours. Is there a way I can be a part of it without having to be there? And then the people that want to be there have that choice. I think, right, goes back to giving people choices. So I think it's an exciting time for what is, as a pod, or they call it podcast, but a virtual live stream that I helped a federal conference do, the art of the possible, right? There's going to be so much possible as we move forward in the future because the technology, I think, is advancing faster than sometimes we realize.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jim. I think it'll be interesting to see, who embraces the technology going forward, especially after we get past COVID, which I'm hoping is sooner than later. It will be interesting to see. I think too, figuring out that hybrid model in terms of what makes sense from an ROI perspective, right? Like, what's the pricing going to look like? What's the event in person going to look like as opposed to online, right?
Right. Well, and here's the other thing, right? I mean, if you think about it, And this is one of the advantages sometimes of like what we're doing is I'm on fiber, so I have extremely stable, high internet speeds. But we sometimes go to these events in person, and I don't know if it's gonna change, but a lot of these places didn't really build out their infrastructure to allow for the virtual, right? Like, even if you were in there trying to use your cell phone or your tablets, you didn't always get a great connection and you'd have slow stuff. So that's where it'll be interesting to see from the aspect of hybrid with a virtual component. Are they going to be making that investment? Because they may not get as much foot traffic, but you may have a heck of a lot of virtual traffic. I mean, what are your thoughts there, Tim?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've had the same experience at conferences. There's so many people where the facilities don't have the bandwidth or whatever they need exactly to be able to hold that kind of capacity. So I think the answer is really it's just going to depend on what the resources are of the organization or the business and how forward thinking they are. You know, hopefully many of them will make the investment in better Wi-Fi and that kind of thing. But yeah,
Tim, let me ask you a question. And for those of you watching live, and we appreciate all of you that are watching us live right now, if you have specific questions, but my question to you would be, what do you think are some of the key things that an organization should think about when they're wanting to do a virtual event? Because a lot of people just seem to use like Zoom as the fallback. But what do you think that they sometimes aren't really thinking about there?
I think they're not thinking about all the planning that goes into a virtual event. Like, for example, when I work with a virtual event, and I'm sure you do as well, Jim, you want to have a run of show. So a run of show would include everything from like the times of each segment of the event, like what the segment type is. So I'm just looking at a run of show from an event I just produced this last weekend. So like a segment type might be like the welcome for the event or announcements or like whatever the thing is that's going on, but then also the name of each person. At this virtual event, we had people from 19 or 20 countries. So in StreamYard and in other platforms, I'm sure as well, when you put the names of the people on, we also put up what country they were from, to highlight that diversity, that internationalness of the event.
I love that.
Um, Also, like all the digital assets, whether it's a video or a title card or, whatever all those things are, um, contact information in case the speaker doesn't show up. You want to be able to reach them at the last minute if necessary. Um, but I think the run of show is like, I think the biggest thing organizations don't realize is all the planning that goes into it. Because this event that I just worked on, we pulled it together in like on my end anyway, in somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks, right? With people from like Nigeria to Italy to like all over the place, right? But we did it and it reached people. Normally they do the event in like Bali or other countries in that part of the world. A lot of people from that event speak Russian. And so, like, so many things to think about, even like the language perspective. We didn't have enough time to nail that part down, but that's another thing to think about. Like, if you have an international audience, how can you provide like interpreters or things like that?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I think, even sometimes what's not thought about, and it's interesting because I've seen some of these comments in the StreamYard community that people are like, oh, well, the C-suite people don't have time to do an audio and video check before they're coming on. They don't have the time not to, right? The reality is if
Totally.
you're planning to be live on a platform, you owe it to yourself to make sure that you have your act together. So even if it's having your assistant get on your computer and do it, I mean, I know you're the same way, Tim. You've gotta have, if as like we like to call it, a dry run so that
Yeah.
everyone is comfortable with the technology. So that's, I think, an area where in virtual events, people need to build that in, right? And
Hmm.
understanding like, well, what are the looks you want to have? I mean, as an example, I think it'll let us do this. Uh, you know, we could go with this look, right? Maybe that's the look you want, right? Or do you want this look, right?
Yeah.
Or, these are things that you have to run through in the show because that's going to affect camera angles. It's going to affect graphics. So that, we think about these things, right? That's what that you and I have definitely, dove deeply into. But even
Yeah.
these overlays, right? These are not provided by StreamYard.
Right.
These were provided by, our friend Chris Stone. And it's something that, we have to measure for each scene, right? If we want to go to different scenes, we have to think about, okay, we're going to switch the graphics over to another scene. It's where overlays and videos and things of that nature come into play. In fact, while we're thinking about it, we're going to take a word from our sponsor, StreamYard, so you can see also how video can be put in for sponsors during an event. And of course, we have the classic one. We gotta go with that.
Oh, come on, I'm here.
I know, but that's I love that one. I mean, I need to start putting that on Twitter for you.
Please and thank you.
Yeah, so no, Tim, you brought up a great point about, run a show is so important, and just all the little things like do you wanna have networking? I mean, I
Yes.
will say that's one of the things that I've really, and I know there's other platforms, but I've been working with Hopin specifically, and so Hopin, it truly is, it's a great, I think for a lot of organizations, Hopin can be the solution to getting out of, if you wanna call it, Zoom fatigue, right? Because you can have these breakout sessions that are running concurrently. People can pick where they wanna go, or you can make it to they can only go based on their ticket type. But I also think the live stage is so powerful because even if, like, say, people are off at a session, you can have the live stage doing other things, right? It can be running a video, it can be running a presentation of like upcoming things. You can even using, certain software. And I'm going to say it, I will tell you, and I know you and I both would agree on this. One of the things that I really like doing is, if you want to call it, is the virtual cam thing. And Ecamm, if you've got a Mac, and then, of course, you could also use Prezi if you don't, allows you to do some stuff within your window within StreamYard that, as an example, by using Loopback, right, you can actually play music into StreamYard. So if you wanna have that
Yes.
stage running and play some music while people are waiting for the next speaker to come on, you can do that. Just remember, if you're on one of the social platforms, you could get your stuff pulled down, but it's fine when you're in Hopin because 'cause you're kind of in a closed environment. So I think that's really,
Oh, that's an
really,
interesting point, Jim. I didn't
yeah.
realize that. It doesn't affect it if you're doing it through Hopin, like
Yeah,
streaming through Hopin?
right, because you're basically in a closed session, just kinda like if you would be on,
Interesting.
uh, what would be another one, like, not Vimeo, right?
Mhm.
Vimeo is another one where it's, like, kind of a closed private group, and, yeah, Andrew, I would agree with
Right.
you. Not a fan of
Yeah.
Zoom, lot of limitations, not to mention Zoom. I mean, Zoom works, I get it, but Zoom is a resource hog, right? That's
Mhm.
one thing that I think StreamYard definitely has as an advantage is that it's cloud-based, right? Browser-based, but, even though it's
Yes.
through your browser, really cloud-based program, so it's not taking up a lot of resources. The fact that it's available, you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablets now. I mean, they really keep adding new things. In fact, I think coming out, I don't know if it's come out yet, but they're allowing you to now share videos, of unlimited length. I believe that was coming out,
Yes.
sometime today. So if we wanted to
Awesome.
share a longer video and not have to worry about the file, uh, the file sizes. That I think that's a huge thing for some people that maybe they want to
For sure.
run an event, share some things. So I think that's another good thing. What are some of the other tips that you would maybe have for people, Tim, as they're thinking about a virtual event and things to consider?
Other things, let's see. Run of show, we talked about the tech, we talked about bringing on doing a run through. That's so important. I think, like from a producer perspective, and even from an event planner or business perspective, like set deadlines for all that you need to get done, and especially in how we work in the production angle, like we want to have deadlines for when everything is going to be done. Because I don't know about you, Jim, but I've been in circumstances where I'm receiving digital assets until like, I don't know,
When you're
11
getting
o'clock
ready
the
to go
night
live?
before or something. Yeah, that too. Have you
Yeah.
experienced that too?
Yes. Absolutely, right? It's to me, it's no different in the sense of like if it was a live event, not a virtual event, you would want these things in advance. And I think that people don't realize, some of the things and even from understanding as an example, right? And this is where run throughs are important. If the
Yes.
speaker is going to share their own slides, and especially if they're going to say use something like PowerPoint, you may not realize it, but almost I have yet to see a program it doesn't happen. But if I run a PowerPoint, like if I were to run PowerPoint right now on just one monitor, I will not be able to see anything else on my screen until the PowerPoint's over. That's one reason why I've gone to adding a second monitor because
Mhm.
you can, share that second monitor and still be able to see things. These are the things that, producers should be talking to you about, making sure your speakers understand, right? Testing your audio, testing your video. Um, because I think sometimes too, people just think, oh, I'm just going to come on my computer, use my computer's microphone, use my computer's speakers, and then that's where you get into the whole feedback thing. And so there's a lot of little things, right? This kind of goes back to my desire to see our the folks we know get better at actually
Yes.
doing virtual presentation is it's not a big investment, right? We're both using the same microphone,
It's
60, yeah,
$70.
60, $70 depending on when you get it.
Yeah.
And it's got the flexibility to grow with you, right? You can use it as a USB microphone. It also can be used as an XLR microphone once you get a audio interface, which you may eventually want to do. But that'll
Right.
just make a huge difference because I think the biggest thing, right? We say with live streaming is people will forgive the video, but they won't forgive the audio. And
Oh,
so I think
definitely.
that's a big thing to consider as well.
Definitely. Definitely. I think one other thing, maybe to talk about, Jim, is having a backup plan, right? Like if you're hosting a virtual event, what if the moderator disappears, right? What if one of the speakers disappears? And how are you going to communicate with them, right? Are you on a call with someone? If they leave, they're not in the private chat anymore. So how are you going to get
Point.
in touch with them, right? If you need
Yeah.
to,
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I mean, and so definitely virtual events have a communications plan, right? That's
for
probably the
sure.
best way to put it because
Yeah.
yeah, things could happen whether it's a email plan or whether it's a text message plan. Maybe you have a group text to say hey, or even letting people know that as an example, like Andrew's here, he's ready to go live. Because sometimes if you're bringing people in during the show, the producers can tell who's here, but maybe the other folks can't, depending on what program you're using. So I think that's a great point. Communications plan, run a show. These are all things critical to a successful virtual event. And now, what do you think, Tim, uh, in regards to? Do you think that sometimes we're trying to have events that are too long? Like people want to, expect people to maybe be on for 8, 9 hours straight. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. And I want to thank Chris Stone for being here. He chimed in and said now more than ever. So thank you for that, Chris. Uh, yeah, I think, like people are on screen so long now, right? Like even my kids are on Zoom every day, right? Like how long do you want to be in front of a screen? And if you're like my daughter's generation, maybe you want to be on it more than even I do. But um I think that, like 8, 9 hour events, like who is going to stay? I mean, maybe a few people, but, and if the speakers are really good and the content's really good, and if you have yoga breaks in between or something, I don't know.
That
But I think,
that's a good point though, having breaks, right? People
yes.
people need breaks, right? Whether it's, as they call it, bio breaks or, just a
Oh,
chance to go, get some fresh air or, grab a bite to eat. That's a great point.
thanks. Thanks. Yeah, but I definitely think limiting the number of hours, I don't know, maybe to like 4 in a day or something, 8 or 9. I could not see myself sitting here for 8 or 9 hours. I mean, I will happily if someone would like me to produce their event, but not normally.
Yeah. No,
What about
I
you,
think
Jim?
no, I would agree. I think that you really need to plan if you're going to have an, because here's the other thing. If you're having an all day event, right, which, and I get it, some people are going to do that.
Yeah.
Um, are you really going to keep the audience engaged? Right. I
Right.
mean, what's going to keep them? I mean, because, that's, I guess, if you want to say the one benefit of Zoom is you can tell if people are engaged or not. Of course, if they've got their cameras and their mics muted, it's like, are they even really there? Are they just walking around doing other stuff? And so that kind of defeats the purpose of having these people on virtually. But I think that's you got to make sure that you're giving value to your audience with your virtual events, or one, they're not going to come back. And I think there's a great opportunity to do that. I mean, even when we were in school so many years ago, it was like, what, maybe 6 hours in a day, right, that you'd go to school, and you would have breaks.
Hmm.
I think for us, I think we went from school from like 8 until 2, and that included lunch, way
That's
way
it.
back. That was it. That was long, long ago,
Oh
in
my
galaxy
gosh.
far,
I
far
should have
away.
went to your school.
Yeah, but I think to expect, to equate an event to a work day, I think is something to be careful about. Like, maybe you have the event over a couple more days and limit it to 4 hours, so you give people that chance to, like, "Okay, I got other things to do," especially, as you would say, now more than ever.
Wow, we got it in 3 times, I think
At
now.
least,
One's
at
thanks
least.
to Chris Stone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I think it's an exciting time though, Jim, right? It'll be interesting to see what happens this year, the evolution of virtual events. And I definitely agree. Having a networking component, or even like how could you bring in like maybe you could like bring in a band or like some sort of entertainment to break things up too, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kinda goes back to me, events are just like what I like to say with the, social media, right? The 4 E's, right? Are you educating? Are you entertaining? Are you engaging and empowering your audience? And if you're not,
Yeah.
you need to, and figure out how to work that in. I love your idea of, right, bringing in entertainment,
Mm,
that can make things a little bit more fun. Uh,
yeah.
you know, maybe even, whether it's having people take, you know, short video clips or something of themselves, maybe, social distancing and sending it in, and then you're able to share it to the screen, bringing in that social media component to the event,
Yeah.
because that's the
User
other thing.
generated content, right?
Exactly, exactly. I think those are all, very important things that can be worked into and should be part of the plan for every virtual event, right? Don't just look at it as like, "Oh, we just want these talking heads out there," because if your audience doesn't enjoy it, they're just not they're gonna here's the thing, they're gonna tune you out and you may not even know it, right?
True.
Unless there's a
Very
quiz
true.
at the end that you have to pass,
Right. Maybe
and
we
then
should
it's
add
that
that
circle
to
where
our
it's
suggestions for our clients. Quiz at the end.
quiz at the end, that's
Who's going
right.
to stay for a quiz?
That's right, that's right. Not unless only if it's graded and I have to pass. Um,
Exactly.
but that's a great point.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, this has been fun. I know we probably
Yes.
should wrap things up. We do want to send prayers out to our friend Kevin Colby, who was supposed to be here today. Had something personal that he's dealing with, but we are going to have
Mm.
him again in the future. Next week, though, we are excited to have the head of the Pirate Syndicate,
Ooh,
Russ Johns
R.
of the Pirate Broadcast. He's on every day, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and he's in Arizona, so he's that early bird, and he's
What?
definitely catching the worm. I know, right?
Right
All right.
between him and Russ Hedge and D. Scott Smith, although their show is at 7 o'clock Pacific time.
Yes, 10 a.m. our time.
Yes.
Yeah, so we get an extra hour of sleep, but yeah, I got to get up early to catch Russ has got a great show. Both
For sure.
Russes have
Shout
great
out to all
shows.
the Russes.
All the Russes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so excited to have Russ at our new time, which will probably be for a while. And so we appreciate everyone joining us at our new time.
Thank
And
you.
don't hesitate to please share this with your friends. Let them know. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you check out, we do actually now have. You can now buy Tim a coffee. We have become a part of the Buy Me a Coffee program, and we're going to be rolling out some more features to that program, including I think we're going to plan to be doing some private Zooms where you can ask us anything. We can maybe help you with some of your live stream challenges as well,
That would be
and
fun.
it'll be fun. So hard to believe it's already February 3rd. I mean,
Yes.
Valentine's Day is 11 days away. It's my reminder to you, Tim, to not forget to buy your wife a gift so you don't get in trouble. So that's
She
my
doesn't care about Valentine's Day.
well, you're lucky. You're lucky.
Are you guys big Valentine's people?
Um, I don't know that we're big, but we are considering there is a place where I think if there's enough room, they're actually doing a beginner sushi class.
Oh,
So we
interesting.
might do that. We did that last year when things were a little bit nicer. So
Different.
that's a consideration. Now you're gonna watch the football game Sunday?
What football game?
The Super Bowl.
I'm kidding.
The Super Bowl, right?
We go to my sister's house for Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure they're not doing anything this year. So,
Yeah, I know.
and I just have no interest in it at all. So I usually suffer through the party.
The commercial should be interesting this year, to say the least. I will say
They
that.
should be very interesting. Yes.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Tim. Great to join you today. Glad we were able
Thank
to
you, Jim. This was
have
fun.
the show. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Andrew, Stefan, Junaid, Chris Stone. I also believe we had Sherry Roberts. Thank you as well.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
we will see you all next week. And if you need help with virtual events, we're here for you.